The Broken Empires RPG is coming to Kickstarter this summer. If you want to help me bring this game to life, go to play.thebrokenempires.com and sign up for your VIP membership today. Well, 1 degree of success. It's not great. Round 4 puts us up to 6. Round 4. Oh, it was okay, close, so close. He's still there. He hasn't done the thing that he's gonna do if the timer runs out. Well, welcome back once again to Me, Myself, and Die, Season 4, Episode 6 of Legacy. I am, of course, Trevor DeVal. Thank you for joining me here today. If you do want to help support what I do on the channel, please do consider hitting like and subscribe or supporting us on the YouTube channel or on Patreon, or if you want to help support the game. The details for all of that stuff are in the description below. We're gonna get on to what's going on with Vale as she was ambushed by assassins outside the Palace of the Vizier on her way to infiltrate it, hopefully trying to get into the sub-levels of the palace to reinvestigate that sarcophagus, thinking there might be some item in the sarcophagus that she could use as a sort of a mystical link that would help her track down the current location of the Lich. That is what she's here trying to do. But before we get to that, as I've said, I am playtesting my system, The Broken Empires, as we go. There's a few changes that I need to go over. First of all, before I was using a phased initiative system, I've decided to not use the phased initiative system. There's a number of reasons for that. I've gone back to something a little more close to like a traditional initiative system. This initiative system, every character has a die type as initiative, and they roll that at the top of every round, and they get the number that shows where they act in the round. Enemies do not roll, they just have static initiative. The average is 3. You want to match or beat the enemy's initiative in order to go before them. But you can also spend resolve to increase your initiative score to whatever you want it to be. So that's another interesting and useful expenditure resolve. The other thing I've adjusted is, and this is minor, but it's hit location numbers. So on the D10, on the 1s die, the hit location just is adjusted. So now 1 to 5 is body, 6 to 7 is the leg, 8 to 9 is the arm, and 10 is the head. So minor adjustment. There was a few little mathematical reasons why I did that. Also, there's a few little skills I've changed the names of or added. There's something called arcane lore now. So just, little adjustments as we go to try and make the game a little more full and complex and interesting. Okay, so a little housekeeping as well. The thread that was on our list, get to the ball on time, that has been eliminated. So I've scratched that off of my thread list. We are currently at Chaos Factor 6. This whole ambush scene, this was an interrupt scene of her trying to get into the palace, so we do need to resolve that before we do anything else. But before we do, I have some questions. One is the General Bengara, who was instrumental in getting Vale to the palace, at least that was the plan, is he also the target of the assassination? It is possible that the assassins somehow knew that the General was conspiring with Vale. I don't know, the fate chart will tell us. And the second thing I want to ask is, are the guards in on it? Remember that the Vizier is being controlled by the Lich, but the Lich is not yet fully aware of things, so I don't think the Lich is making like blanket conscious commands necessarily. I think the Lich is operating more on sort of like this weird instinct, but because the Death Knight was the one that got the Silent Death Assassins involved, it's conceivable that the Palace Guards are in on this too. So I'm going to ask those questions as well. So is the General a target? I'm just going to call it 50-50. Let's see, Chaos Factor 6, 50-50. The answer is no. The General is not a target. And the next question is, are the Palace Guards in on the assassination attempt? Or the whatever this is. This might not be an assassination attempt. It could be maybe they're trying to capture Vale so that the Death Knight can find out more about what she knows or what she's doing here. Are the Palace Guards in on this? I'm gonna say it's actually unlikely that they are. Oh, okay, so no. So the Palace Guards are not in on this. Whew, okay, that's good. So at least these guards have not been given orders to assist these assassins, so they're gonna be taken by surprise. So the General's not a target and the guards are not in on it. These assassins are gonna be focusing on Vale, but they also are going to know that the General and his retinue are here, so they might have to engage the retinue in order to try and distract them. Oh, I wonder. Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Now we know what's going on here. Do these assassins, or at least one of them, are they going to create some sort of diversion, like maybe throwing fantasy version of like a smoke bomb or something like that? That's kind of cool, very assassiny. I kind of like that. I'm going to make that very likely that that's what they're going to do to create a distraction. 75 is a yes. So at the same time that Vale is being ambushed, this guy and maybe even this guy, they hurl these little, brass-looking grenade things into the crowd here, and smoke immediately bursts onto the scene, billowing through, creating a smoke screen. The next thing I need to do, I need to give Vale a perception roll, because if she does not make the perception roll, she's going to be taken by surprise by this attack, which is a very, very bad thing. She needs to make this roll. Her perception is 50. Boy, she's got to get that up. Does she make it? 28. She does succeed. It was a simple test, so success levels don't matter in this case. She is able to see the attack before it comes, which means that the assassin has to make an attack roll. Now, she can't parry it because her weapon is tucked away in her robes and she doesn't have her shield. But she can dodge. So first of all, let us see what this assassin does. Does this assassin even strike in this surprise round? Here we go. The assassin's going to strike in this sort of free round. Oh, look at that. Well, luckily for Vale, the assassin pulls the knife and thrusts it at her, but she sees it at the last second and just moves aside, and the blade moves past her. Now we go into a proper initiative. Now, I'm not going to worry about the details of what's going on in the smoke with the general and the guards and all that stuff. I'm mostly going to worry about what's happening with Vale and these three assassins here, and as well Thrag. This is very important. So here's what we need to know about this new initiative system. All of these assassins have various stats and various weapons and things like this. It's all quite simple, though. They all have initiative 3, which means that Vale is going to roll her initiative of D8, and Thrag is going to roll his initiative of D6. They both want to get 3 or more. That would be really, really useful. And look at that. Well, Thrag is definitely before the assassins. Vale is not. In order for her to go before the assassins, she has to tie, because players break ties in initiative, and she can do that by spending 1 resolve. She's definitely going to do that. She needs to go first. So she is now on 3 this round. But because they are both going before any enemies, in other words, their actions are uninterrupted by any other enemies, they can basically choose to go whenever they want. So that's a little tactical advantage that players operating in the same initiative zone basically can have. Okay, speaking of zones, we do have a number of zones here. This map is separated into zones, and each zone has a descriptor on it which can be used in various creative ways if it comes up and it can be justified and if the roll is made. So maybe that'll happen. I'm not exactly sure. We've got a couple of fountains here. We've got a sewer entrance here. I just plopped this tile down and there was a sewer entrance there, so I guess that's a sewer entrance there. But let's deal with Thrag first. I think Thrag is going to go first. So here's the thing. These assassins have just lobbed the smoke bombs into the crowd, creating immediate confusion. We're in the proper round now. Thrag is going first, so he has seen this. Thank goodness he was shadowing Vale the way he was. I think he takes his axe and bursts through these barrels and charges. Now, he is in the same zone as this assassin, so that means he can do a charge. So the assassin is going to see this charge coming, which means that he or she, I can't even tell. Oh, that looks like a woman. She knows he's coming. That means that as he's acting first, he charges in. Charge is a plus 20 to his attack, and a plus 2 SLs to the outcome if he is successful. He is rolling on slow weapons. At plus 20, he's rolling a 95. 37. Okay, well, it is a success. This assassin is using a short sword, and they all have pieces of armor in different sections of their body. I've got it all listed here on my handy-dandy enemy sheet. This green assassin is now going to try and parry, because the weapon is out. And does she do it? She does do it. Now, Thrag has charged. So he has got a total of 5 success levels because of the charge. If this assassin had a reach weapon, she would get a free attack on a charging foe, but she doesn't. She has a short sword. So he comes in. He will succeed with 5 SLs minus her 1. So that's a success. 4 SLs in the left leg. That's going to be a total. Boy, he's so good with his axe. 9 damage in the left leg. But before I get to damage, I need to know what he's going to do with those 4 SLs. Well, he's going to hit her in the leg, but he's also going to spend 3 SLs to drive her back into this zone. Now, if this zone was a rough zone, she'd have to do an athletics check or fall prone. It's not, though. 9 in the leg. She has no armor. That is a potentially lethal hit right there. Boom. So I'm going to roll both these dice. I'll do it one at a time, though. This is the wound die to see if the leg is incapacitated. It sure is. And what happens here with the death die? Oh, 20. Okay, well, 20 means she's definitely not dead from that attack. but the leg is incapacitated immediately from that hit, which means she falls prone in the new zone as he's driven her back in there. That brings us to Vale. Well, Vale is busily dealing with this assassin right in front of her. She doesn't have a weapon, so I think that she is going to use her action to pull her rapier and attack, which you can do at -20. She is going to do that. Normally, it would be 73, but because she's pulling an attack, she's rolling at 53. Does she strike? She does, unless the assassin, the servant assassin with the knife, with the dagger, can get a piece of it on the parry. No! So that is a hit with, it's also in the left leg. This servant assassin has no armor at all because he was pretending to be a servant. So she is hit with actually 4 degrees because she has the specialty with the rapier, which gives her +1 SL. So she's got 4 versus nothing. That's going to be 6 damage in the leg, which is really good. But with those 4 SLs, she hit him in the leg. She could knock him prone, but that costs 5 SLs with this fast weapon. The bigger the weapon, the easier it is to knock somebody prone. She's going to choose location head. For her, that costs 2. And she's going to unbalance, which is another 2. He is definitely going to be unbalanced at -20. That's essentially disadvantaged. 6 damage in the head where there is no armor. Ooh, that is a potentially lethal hit right there. First of all, is the head incapacitated? Yes, the head is incapacitated. Out of curiosity, is it a lethal hit? It is not. So this servant goes down as she pulls the rapier, kind of fumbles it out of her robes and slashes. Actually, yeah, let's see exactly where she does hit, because that's always fun to do. Where did she hit him? In the nose! She stabs him right in the nose. The rapier pierces the nose. He falls down unconscious for like 7 minutes. He's going to be out of the picture. Well, that was a very good round. Now it is the assassin. This assassin is going to move 1 zone. This is another female assassin, looks like. So she, the purple assassin, is going to rush in and charge with a scimitar at Vale. This is all in the same round. So the purple assassin's rolling at 80. Just misses. This assassin comes in, but maybe like trips a bit on the body and the unconscious body of her comrade and kind of swings a scimitar, whistles over Vale's head. Okay, at the end of the round, we're going to quickly see what is going on over with this group in the fog. Now I know that the general is not a target. All I need to know is, does the assassin get an opportunity to break through the confusion and proceed to attack Vale? I'm just gonna roll, the assassin's gonna roll a d10, and the general's retinue is gonna roll a d4. Whoever gets higher basically kind of gets what they want. So let's see what happens here. 4 and 9. So definitely the assassin, we'll call it at the end of the round. It doesn't really matter. The assassin can't really take part, but the assassin emerges from the smoke here at the end of that round, while the rest of the retinue is kind of choking and calling out, and Vale can hear the sound of weapons being drawn. She can hear the general like issuing orders to remember. This is total confusion in here as the smoke is building. The smoke's not gonna last for too much longer. All right, we go into the second round now. Again, these 2 assassins are on 3. Vale and Thrag are in the same zone, which is good. Here is their initiatives. Okay, great. That means they are both ahead of those assassins. So Vale is engaged with this purple assassin. She is going to use her action to attack. 73, and she will hit, and the defense comes in at 42. So looks like she has +1 SL. She's got 4 degrees of success versus 4 degrees of success, but in this particular case, the higher roll wins. So unfortunately, that assassin is able to knock aside her rapier thrust. I think Thrag is going to, he's in the same zone. Again, he's going to charge the purple assassin. Now, this is a very good thing because that assassin has already parried once. This assassin is going to have to defend against Thrag now for the second time, which means she's going to defend at a -20. He's rolling a 95. Oh, that's a great hit. And she's going to, she is going to succeed with a 1. So that is 1 success level versus his 8 success levels because of the charge. Oh my God, he's just unstoppable. 8 minus 1 is 7 success levels, and it's going to be in the left arm. So the purple assassin has no armor in the left arm, so there's no need to change or choose location. He's just going to unbalance her, basically. 7 plus 5 is 12 damage to the arm. Oh my God, with no armor? Oh boy. Well, it's going to be incapacitated for sure. So her left arm is dangling uselessly. But the question is, you have to roll the incapacitation die. Does it kill her? Because it is over the lethality level of 7. So does it kill her? No! Again! So her left arm is incapacitated. The green assassin is not actually out. The green assassin is just prone because she has an incapacitated leg. So she can act, actually. She rises from prone, and now she's going to move to engage. It's not a charge. It's just a move to, she sort of limps up with her short sword. She can't attack, though, because that was her actions. Meanwhile, incapacitated arm, purple here, is going to attack Vale. She's going to roll against Vale, who is not yet defended. Ooh, complete miss. Awesome. That is great, probably because she's favoring this incapacitated arm. Meanwhile, the blue assassin with the scimitar is going to charge Vale. And if Vale defends, she has not yet defended this round, so she will not get the penalty. So, charging means the assassin's rolling on 80. Well, it's plus 2 success levels from the charge, so that's 3 SL. Her defense with no penalty, 45, 55 actually, or 5 SL I should say, because of her rapier specialty, she is able to block it aside. Chink, and that ends the assassin's turn, and it ends the totality of the turn. Over here, the confusion still reigns, but I think that there's one more round of smoke before it dissipates, and these guys will now become a factor. So it's not looking good for these assassins right now. It is initiative time. Well, look at that. And again, Vale and Thrag are before the assassins. Vale's gonna go first. So she is in trouble here. She's engaged with 3 different opponents. So actually, I think I'm going to have Thrag go first. I think Thrag is going to attack the purple assassin again, and he's rolling on 75. Oh, that is a critical hit, which means he's automatically going to win the exchange. This assassin's in trouble. Thrag likes his criticals. She can defend with a critical. Oh, look at that! She defended with a critical, but he gets the higher roll and the more SL, so both criticals kind of cancel each other out, and Thrag will hit, for a devastating 10 damage and 5 SLs. 10 damage and the 5 is going to be the body. Now, he really does want to change, or choose location, rather, so he's going to spend 4 SLs to do that, because he wants to hit that purple assassin's left arm again. He's going to do 10 damage. There's no armor. That's 22 points. The arm is already incapacitated. So what that means is the second incapacitation in the same location, that guard's going, or that assassin's going down for sure into unconsciousness, but also death. She's got 22 points. The only way she survives this is if she rolls a 20. No. So basically, Thrag comes in and cuts off her left arm. Whack.
Hey, post-production Trev here. Listen, for those of you following along with the rules, the sharp-eyed among you may have noticed I made a bit of a mistake, which actually would have made a difference to the outcome of the fight, so I wanted to bring it up here quickly. They both got criticals, which means that both rolls would have been like normal rolls, so he shouldn't have succeeded with 5 SL, because 5 minus 3 is 2. He should have succeeded with 2 SL, which means he couldn't have chosen location to the left arm. He would have hit in the body where she had armor, and he would have only done 7 damage instead of the 10. 7 minus the armor there, which was 3, would have been a 4-point wound, and it would not have incapacitated. Or, I mean, it might have incapacitated the assassin, but it wouldn't have killed the assassin. So, could have affected the fight. That's what happens when you're playtesting your own game and still internalizing your own rules. Sometimes you make little mistakes like this. Anyway, Thrag got away with this one.
Vale now can concentrate, I think, on the wounded one, because she is also going to try and target the green assassin's incapacitated left leg if she can. She's going to roll on 73. 04, it's only 1 degree of success. 2, because it's Vale. Probably going to defend against this. Yes, no problem, right on the button. That is, in fact, a critical success. They have a skill of 16. If you roll your exact skill, that's a critical success. Unfortunately, just with an amazing parry, this assassin is able to knock Vale's rapier aside. And now, it is their turn. They're definitely going on Vale. So the green assassin with the short sword is attacking at 60 and will hit with 36. Vale is going to try and defend that with the rapier. 34, but she has +1 SL, so she knocks that aside, and she's able to spin around and try and defend against this attack, but it will be at -20 because of the multi-action penalty. That's a great strike from the blue assassin. She's gonna defend. She is going to successfully defend even with the penalty, and she's gonna do it at 2 degrees of success. That's not enough to stop it, but it is enough to bring it down to 3 SL. So she is hit in the left leg, 6 damage, and the 3 SLs. Blue Assassin is going to drive Vale back into a different zone. Anyone who's engaged with her has the option of following, even if they've already moved. So this one is gonna follow, but that leaves Thrag behind. Okay, so that was what the SLs did, and now there's going to be 5 minus 2 is 3, plus 3 for the weapon is 6 damage in her left leg. She has some armor there, 2 points, so she's gonna take a 4-point wound in the left leg, and where exactly does it happen? 6 in the thigh. Here we go. This is Vale's wound die. Now she gets to add her toughness of 2 to the roll, okay? So 7 plus 2 is 9, so it's no problem. And it's not over the lethality level, so she doesn't have to roll the death die. So her leg is not incapacitated, but it is wounded with a 4-point slash. We go into a new round now. At the end of the round, the smoke has dissipated. These guys can now act. Well, the retinue's not gonna act. They're gonna flee. This is the bodyguard, and these are the regular guards. I think these retinue kind of flee behind the fountain. The general obviously hears the sounds of battle and sees the bloodshed in the street and sees what's going on. He's going to become part of this round now. I'm going to give them an initiative roll too. I'm going to give them a d6, and if they act before the assassins are in big trouble. So let's deal with regular initiatives here first of all. So this is Vale and Thrag, and oh, look at that. Vale's on 1 and Thrag's on 3. So Vale's gonna go after the assassins. And let's just give this group a d6 to see. Oh yes, okay, well, so what that means is before the assassins can act, both Thrag and the General's Guard are going to attack. Now the General's Guard can't actually engage them yet. They can move 2 zones, which would put them in the zone but not engage with the assassins, but Thrag can. He can move 1 zone and then he can charge. The blue assassin, he's charging, unbelievable, 95 is what he's rolling at. 53 is a great roll. The assassin can try and defend on 60. 1 degree of success versus 5, so that's a hit with 4 degrees of success in the body. Oh, he's not been wounded yet, and he's got armor in the body, so I think with Thrag's 4 degree of success, he's gonna have to spend it all to choose a different location, an unarmored location, but this blue assassin has armor everywhere, so he's gonna choose the head. So he is going to do plus 5 from the axe is 9, minus the head armor is a 7-point wound. His chosen location, that's all he can spend it on. This could be a debilitating hit. Yes, it does incapacitate him immediately, which is great. And it also kills him. Thrag comes up and cuts off this assassin's head. Whack, dead. Meanwhile, the General's guards run up 1 zone, and with their additional action, they go into this zone here. But they can't engage, which brings us to the assassin now. This assassin knows they've got to get out. So here's my question. Does this assassin have any kind of other funky smoke bomb they can use to aid in their escape? I'm not even going to roll. I think the answer is yes, because she's already used one to them. So she is going to use it, and what this is going to do, she is going to do basically a flee. But because she's throwing the smoke bomb down, it's going to give an advantage to her athletics roll, which is what she needs to roll. Run for your life. Roll athletics as a defense, and she's going to get plus 20. But any current melee opponents, which is Vale, will get a free attack. So, is she able to do it? Oh, well, the answer is yes, but it's only 1 success level. Now that does count as a defense against Vale's free attack, which she is gonna take right now on 73, and she'll hit. She actually gets 4 SLs minus the 1 is a hit with 3 SLs in the 9, which is the left arm of the green assassin, which has not yet been wounded. So she is going to do 4 minus 1 is 3, plus 2 is a 5-point wound, but there is armor. 5 minus 2 is 3, so that's a 3-point wound. But now that wound is going to do a few things. One, it's going to make her immediately weary, so anything that this assassin does is going to be minus 20 because she's taken more than 10 wounds. But the wound, 2, the left arm this time, 3 or less, and it's incapacitated. It is not incapacitated, and it is not over the lethality level. So that means that the assassin is wounded in the escape attempt, but is able to flee into the city. Now, we're out of combat here, but I think immediately the general calls an order to his men to give chase to that fleeing assassin, so they will disappear. His bodyguard will stay with him. The guards, I think, have run up too. The general immediately begins to sort of talk to them. The retinue slowly returns. Whew, well, that was the interrupt scene taken care of. So they have dealt with the assassination attempt. So the general goes up to Vale. Your leg is wounded. Please allow my physician to tend to it. I think it's reasonable to assume that he has some sort of physician with him. Yes, thank you very much, General. We should get out of the street before we draw any more attention. And in fact, they do. They kind of huddle over in some buildings off to the right. Here's the thing. The guards here are obviously very interested in this big attack out there. And I think one of them is going to go off and alert the rest of the palace that an attack happened in the street. Vale and the general don't want that to happen. So the general stops the guard and he makes up some story about how these were just local thugs that he knew of that were basically out for revenge against one of his servants because of some personal slight. He's just gonna do a quick deceive roll. Well, his deceive, we'll call it 55. Does it work? It does work. So he is able to sort of, placate the guard and prevent him from going off and alerting the palace, which is very good. Meanwhile, Vale says to the general, General, it is possible that there is something on the bodies of these assassins that might connect them to whoever sent them. We need to drag the bodies into the shadows so I can examine them before the palace attendants come. Please help me. As they're dragging the body into the shadows of the alleyways, the general says to her, how did they know to attack you here in the street before the very palace itself? That does not bode well. No, it does not. It seems that my enemy, the Lich, has eyes everywhere. We must be far more cautious from now on. So, the physician is going to attend her wound. I'm not going to go into all the details about how the heal skill works here, other than to say that it has various applications. It has first aid applications if you're down and dying. Otherwise, it has treatment applications and infection applications and all that kind of stuff. This is a basic treatment on a skill of 80, which is not a great roll. Restores 2 + 1 per 2 SLs. So she is now down to a 2-point wound. So this will actually take an hour for them to do, which is fine. So while the physician is working on Vale, I think that the general has his bodyguard guard outside the alleyway to ensure they're not disturbed. And they have moved the bodies. Oh, and this guy's alive! Ha ha! They can interrogate this guy. I totally forgot. He's not dead. Oh, perfect. They bring this he was out for 7 minutes, by the way. So they've tied up the assassin and they brought the other bodies in. So while Vale is being patched up by the physician, she gets Thrag to examine the body. So again, I think Thrag immediately finds those tattoos. So this is definitely the Silent Death Assassins. We knew that. But what are the odds that these assassins have any other identifying marks on them? I was thinking something that Vale could use to tie her sort of mystically at like an arcane connection to the Death Knight, because these assassins were hired by the Death Knight. So it's possible that if she could find a link to the Death Knight, she could track down the Death Knight, and if she finds the Death Knight, that could lead her to the Lich. But I don't think that's very likely. I don't think that the assassins would actually have anything on their person that would serve as an identifier. That just seems... it seems very, very unlikely. In fact, I'm going to call it impossible that is the case. Does Thrag find anything on their bodies that identifies them or that could provide an arcane tether to the Death Knight? Well, close, but no, it is in fact a no. That's not a surprise. So they're gonna have to try and see if they can interrogate this assassin. This assassin's been tied up, trussed up, the whole bit, and I think Thrag and the general are just kind of eyeing him to make sure, especially the general, because this is a member of his own retinue, so he is furious. It's fair to assume that the general does his own sort of interrogation and, basically slaps the hell out of this guy in order to get some information. Is he successful? I don't think he is, because he's an NPC and we want the players to make the rolls here. So he tries unsuccessfully to get any information, but obviously this assassin is like not talking at all. They're gonna have to interrogate him themselves. They need to get 10 SLs worth of confession out of the assassin. So when he comes to, I think that they send the physician away. And, they've got their guards posted, the bodyguard here, just to make sure nobody wanders into the alley. She looks at the assassin. She says, I know that you are a paid killer and that you do not value your life particularly highly. Nonetheless, I give you this one chance now to cooperate and tell me everything you know about the Lich Mortzeroth. This is going to be an intimidate roll. Thrag is there brandishing his muscles and his axe. So, as a matter of fact, I think Thrag is the one who's going to be the principal on this. He's going to kind of rough up the assassin a little bit. So he's going to roll his intimidate with help from Vale. So this could be +6, so he's actually rolling on 50. Not great. He's rolling on 50, and success with 3 SLs. I think that if the timer die rolls the amount of rounds or less, the assassin does something interesting. Here we go. Does it happen? It does not. The assassin just glares at Thrag, and I think the assassin even says,
You may threaten me all you wish, but there is nothing you can do to me that comes anywhere close to what my master will do if I betray him.
Thrag smacks him. Let's see. They can wring something out of him. Rolling on 50. Oh, just fails. And 2 less. Nope. Okay. Still at 3. Vale says, Your master is an abomination. I know who you serve, and I am here to destroy him. Your only chance at salvation is to tell me everything you know and where I might find him. I'm gonna try it again. Here we go. 50%. Oh, 2 more degrees. 2 more degrees. We're up to 5. But, this is round 3. No. Okay, well.
You do not know of what you speak.
Thrag smacks him again. Because he can't say anything. So he smacks him. Well, 1 degree of success. It's not great. Round 4 puts us up to 6. Round 4. Oh, it was okay, close, so close. He's still there. He hasn't done the thing that he's gonna do if the timer runs out. If you do not tell me, my dwarf friend here will ensure that the damage I did to your nose in the battle is exacerbated. Thrag, and I think he takes his thumb and he pushes into the wound. I know it's torture. It's torture, but these aren't exactly good people. So the assassin cries out in pain. All right, here we go again. 50. 4 degrees of success. That'll do it. But. Oh, okay. He didn't do it. He did not find a way to kill himself. Very well. Stop. I will tell you everything I know. Just get this creature to stop. She pulls Thrag off him. Now, what does the assassin tell Vale? We already know a few things. We know that the assassins were hired by the Death Knight, or agents of the Death Knight. It is highly unlikely that these assassins have any direct connection with Montserrat himself. In fact, I'm going to call that an impossibility, which of course means it's a 15% chance of a yes. Nope, okay. In fact, it's not an extreme no. Okay, so the assassin knows nothing about the Lich. The assassin only knows that his organization was approached by, was it the Death Knight himself? I doubt that. I think it's nearly impossible. The Death Knight showed himself to these people. Oh my goodness, there was a 25% chance of a yes, and I rolled a 25. The answer is yes. Oh my goodness. The assassin tells a tale of horror. His flesh goes pale. His eyes go wide as he recounts the night that Akholm the Death Knight came to the Guildhouse. When he darkened our doorway, every ounce of blood in my body went cold. This was no man that stood before us, hissing and rasping orders to my guildmaster. He said that there was a new threat in the city of Ancharir, one that could upend the plans of his own master. I can only assume he was referring to you. He did not give us a description, for he had none. In his terrible preternatural voice, he told us that he would be able to offer your location somehow through some mystical means. He mentioned something about being able to track you through the bauble you possessed. At that, Vale looks at Thrag. That can only mean the spirit mantle. Montserrat is tracking me through the very item I need to defeat him. This is a problem, Thrag. She looks back at the assassin. Go on.
You do not understand, lady. This creature that hired us to take you down was no human. He stood over 6.5 feet tall. His eyes burned like icy fire. His face was gaunt and pale, and the skin stretched over the skull like nothing I have ever seen. He was dressed in ancient armor as though he was a thing from legend. And the sword he brandished, a mighty great sword. It was encrusted with foul runes and shone in the torchlight with rubies encrusted in the handle and the pommel. we felt compelled to obey him.
And the important question,
And how were you to contact him once the job was completed?
good question. How were the assassins communicating with the Death Knight? Again, this Death Knight is going to be walking around the streets of Ansharir. His presence would not go unnoticed by anybody. I think that as he goes among the living, like the assassin said, people's blood chills in their veins. So he is very conspicuous. So how were the assassins going to communicate to Akom that the job was done? Find out. 76. Relinquish. 47. Relinquish the innocent. Relinquish the innocent. Oh, that gives me an idea. Give up the innocent. Oh, yeah, I know exactly what that means.
He told us that to send him a message, we would have to practice the outlawed form of magic known as blood magic.
Now, blood magic in the Broken Empires is a foul ritual that's performed only by the most desperate or the most depraved. It involves drawing the blood of innocents and even taking their lives in order to have certain effects happen. So it makes all the sense in the world that the Death Knight would be getting the assassins to communicate him through some kind of blood magic ritual.
We were to take an innocent, a child if possible, and perform a sacrifice to slaughter the child
At a particular spot, maybe outside the city, no, it's not outside the city. It's underneath the city. Yeah, since we know that there is some sort of sewer in the city because we saw that sewer grate, I think that the sewers underneath Ansharir are built on ancient ruins. I think the city is kind of like Troy, where it was a city built on a city built on a city. So I think if you go in the sewers of Ansharir, it eventually leads to like old catacombs and old ruins of previous versions of the city that have been around for thousands of years, essentially. And I think that Akom is making his base in the city in one of those ruins underneath the city that you have to access through the sewers. And they were told to go into the sewers, into one particular place, some forgotten old temple, essentially, or the ruins of some ancient temple to one of the old gods that probably Matzaroth was involved with. They were to take this innocent child and sacrifice the child on an altar and perform this blood ritual, which would allow them to communicate. You had direct communication with the Death Knight. You were in proximity to him, were you not?
I will never forget the experience.
Thrag? She gets Thrag to sort of force him to his knees. The man's eyes go wide. What are you doing? Thrag, smash him. I will not slay an innocent to perform foul blood magic, to speak with your master. But since you were in his presence, you yourself may provide the very arcane tether I require to track him down. She takes her hands and she places them on his head, and she begins to focus her will, and she begins to pull at the threads of reality, and she begins to bind the threads together, bind the strands together in order to produce a magical effect. She now has the arcane tether she requires. The assassin himself. He was in the Death Knight's presence. She can now cast a spell to try and track the Death Knight. So, first of all, the range is going to be 5 SLs. That means within a watch's walk. In other words, within basically 10 miles, essentially. We know that the Death Knight is within 10 miles because the Death Knight's in the city. The target is one individual target. It's the Death Knight, so that's 2. The duration. Well, she just needs to get a sense of where he is now. I think it's going to be 1 round. And the sense, that's another thing. She needs to see it. So the sense is going to be sight for sure. It is very likely that the Death Knight is protected from this kind of scrying. So she's going to have to put potency to the spell in order to reduce the saving throw against it. Each point of potency penalizes a save by -20. I think she needs to put at least 2 points of potency into it. So the total cost of that spell is 12 SL. What is the weave reaction to this? Because there's always a weave reaction in the vast majority of cases. She's basically using the weave to tear the images out of the assassin's mind and using that to tie them together with the binds and strands to immediately locate the current whereabouts of the Death Knight. So the weave reaction is fairly subtle. I'm gonna call it 2. I think it's a weave reaction of 2, which she can mitigate. She's using Witness and Spirit. That gives her a 70% chance. We make the roll. Here we go. Okay, well, it's a success, but not a great success. She's gonna have to fatigue herself. She's only got 2 SL. She needs 10 more. Oh my God. She doesn't have it. She doesn't have it. She can't. She could spend the last of her resolve to try and get this up, but she only has 8 resolve left. That would put her at 10 and she needs 12. But she has the Spirit Mantle. Now, I haven't actually figured out the details of what the Spirit Mantle does, but it is a magic item, and I think it is very likely. I'm not gonna roll. This is just a rule out of my own game. The Spirit Mantle itself, it is a magic item that provides bonus SLs per day based on one particular strand of magic, and that strand is going to be Spirit. I always knew the Spirit Mantle was going to do something like that. I just didn't actually figure out the details. Let's make it interesting. Let's say that every day it provides 1 to 6 bonus SLs, but only on Spirit magic. So only on magic that has to do with the ghosts and spirits and the undead and stuff like that. So today, how many bonus will it provide? 6. Okay, good. So that is excellent. So she rolled 2. She can use all of them. That's 8, which means she's short by 4, and she could mitigate the 2 weave reactions as well for 6, and that would do it. So the total cost to mitigate the weave is to get the spell made and to mitigate the weave is going to be 14. She's got 8, so she needs to spend 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That leaves her with 2 resolve for the day. Thank God. Okay, so fantastic. So she pulls out the Spirit Mantle. Remember, the Spirit Mantle is also the thing by which the Death Knight is tracking her. So it's kind of a double-edged sword here. That's gonna be bad. And whatever's protecting the Death Knight's gonna get a save, but it's gonna be minus because of the potency. Oh, yes. Oh, that's a critical fail. The save did not work. She pulls out this shimmering Spirit Mantle and she sort of wraps it around her own shoulders, and she's grasping the head of this assassin, and she begins to mentally pull at the binding of Witness and the strand of Spirit, and she reworks reality to serve her. And what she sees now, for 1 round, she sees Akkom the Death Knight. Now, where? We know that the Death Knight is in the city, but where? Let's actually roll on the descriptor tables from Mythic and see what we get. The first one, 28. Energetically, second one, 35. Fragile, energetically fragile. It's a nexus point. It's a magical nexus point. It's an ancient magical nexus point in a ruin, a crumbling ruin, a very dangerous location. It's a crumbling ruin underneath the city that can only be accessed by the sewers. Oh, this is part of the old city. Do you know what this is? Oh, yes, of course. The place where Akkom is basically making his lair underneath the city in the ruins of the old city is the old residence of Montserrat when he was advising the leaders of Encharir when he was still alive. It is in a ruin underneath the city, and of course it's a nexus point. That's where Akkom communicates with the Lich. Wherever the Lich is, we still don't know where that Lich is, but now Vale gets a sense of it. She sees the fact that there is this nexus point, that there is this tear in the weave right in the heart of Montserrat's old quarters. And that is where Akkom the Death Knight is currently making his lair. She tears her hands off of the head of the assassin. Thrag looks at her with concern, and she looks at him, and she looks to the general, who's also like staring at her like, what's going on? And she looks out in the street, and she points in a certain direction, and she says, "That way." And that is where we're going to end this episode, as Vale has finally got a solid lead. She knows how to track the Death Knight as long as he is there. So this is going to be extraordinarily dangerous. She has the Spirit Mantle, which is going to allow her to see the Death Knight if she needs it, but it's also going to allow the Death Knight to see her. This could get really, really ugly, but we're not going to find out how ugly until the next episode. Thanks for joining me. Please do hit like and subscribe and consider supporting the channel or supporting the game. All the details for that is in the comments below. Thank you. I will see you on the next episode of Me, Myself, and Die.